Hello and welcome, Angelinos. We thank you for tuning in to yet another brilliant episode of the Galaxy Guy podcast, hosted by Chris Maldonado, a show made by loyal Galaxy fans for loyal Galaxy fans who bleed blue, white and gold. So join us as we talk about the ins and outs, as well as the ups and downs of your favorite team, the one and only, the Los Angeles Galaxy.
Hola y bienvenidos, Angelinos. Welcome back, Galaxy fans, to the Galaxy Guy Show. You know the rest. Been here before. I'm your host, Chris Maldonado. Como siempre, we are always happy and here to talk about your favorite club, our favorite club, the LA Galaxy. And tonight, it's plain and simple, folks. Black and white. The LA Galaxy are back in the playoffs. It's been a very long time. It feels like years and years, but they find themselves in a very special spot for the very first time in a very long time. It's been a long time since the Galaxy has guaranteed themselves a home playoff game. And that last home playoff game for the Galaxy was back when Bruce Arena was still at the helm, 2016. Crazy to say that, crazy to think, but here we are. Expect us to talk about that. We will also be breaking down Sunday's 3-1 win over Houston in Texas. We're going to do that briefly. We've got some stats for you alongside with our unbiased analysis and a comprehensive breakdown of our road to a potential 6th MLS Cup. That's right. It's time to get a little bit excited because the Galaxy's showing some signs of life here towards the end of the season, right? A lot of us were already declaring this team dead on arrival, but here we are. We're talking about potential playoff implications for the Galaxy. So it's going to be a good one. And in order to help me out tonight, get us all sorted out, talk about the playoffs, I have with me my wonderful co-hosts. You guys already know them. You know what they do. We have the Matt with the stats himself. We have Mr. Casey Cagle joining us. Casey, how are you tonight?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty inspired after today's victory. So, and looking at the bracket, like we'll look at later, it's a pretty exciting time to be a Galaxy fan. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good to have you on, man. Your insight is always appreciated. With us, of course, also the one and only Mr. Matt Granger. Matt, how are you tonight, brother?
I'm thrilled, Chris. I am over the moon. I'm ecstatic. I'm high on hopium. I am feeling really good today. You know what? I think what we're seeing is just like it play out like the impact of Ricky Puig. I was so excited for him to come, being a Barcelona fan myself, and the trajectory of this team has just completely changed. He makes everyone better, and everyone looks so good right now.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last time we even had a home playoff game. It seemed like such a far pot at the end of the rainbow kind of goal for us. But, here we are. I cannot wait. I'm only bringing good wine to this playoff game. And the road to victory has started. And you know what? No matter how you want to look at it, we're now contending for MLS Cup. And it feels good to say again. It feels like we're back home.
Absolutely. It's very exciting times we're living in, folks. It's very good to have you guys on the show. Now, as Matt mentioned, we have it. It's breaking news. The Galaxy just announced it right now before we hit record. That playoff game for the LA Galaxy is locked down. They were able to get a home playoff game in the 4th position in the Western Conference. That game is this upcoming Saturday. That is October 15 at 12 p.m., middle of the day, guys. So reach out to your babysitters right now. Contact whoever you have to do. Get your suegra to come over, your mother-in-law, watch the kids, and be at the stadium early because, guys, this is pretty safe to say this is going to be most likely a sellout, right? Saturday, middle of the day.
Oh, yes.
First home playoff game in a very, very long time. Expect this to be a sellout. There's going to be a lot of people there. Exciting. Truly exciting. And, me personally, having a fantastic day today. This was like the cherry on top. This morning, as I was talking to the guys earlier, I had my first practice with my new teammates. I'm in a new league that I'll be playing in. Wonderful people, very exciting times. I didn't pull or strain anything, so I feel like I just climbed Mount Everest, but it feels great. So excited for that. It's safe to say that it's been a good day for everyone in Galaxy Land. Just looking at the Discord, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram, it's just all over. There's a buzz with people just feeling excited, hopeful and optimistic for this. But let's get started. Let's do this tonight, guys, because it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna focus mostly on playoffs, but here's how we're doing it tonight. We will briefly be breaking down Houston's game on Sunday. Most of you guys don't care about that game anymore. Let's be honest. You guys are excited about the playoffs, so that's exactly what we're gonna give you. We're gonna give you mostly playoffs. So. You guys know how we do it. We do the good, the bad, and the ugly takes from the game. So we'll do that. The Galaxy's road win 3-1 against Houston on the road. So what do you guys say? Should we talk some soccer?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's get into the meat of the sandwich. The LA Galaxy winning 3-1 on the road against Houston. Let's talk about the good stuff first. Matt, why don't you get us started here first on all the good stuff that you saw out there for the LA Galaxy this Sunday?
Sure. I think one of the obvious ones is, just judging by the sentiment of myself and then also the Discord, when Houston came out and scored on us first, I think we all immediately got that PTSD feeling where we just thought we were going to get run on in just like the worst possible, most embarrassing way that has ever occurred in this beautiful sport. But, the Galaxy showed some backbone. They fought back. It got a little ugly there for a while, but once the mid kind of got under control and everyone started working towards one goal, we started seeing some scoring. We got Chicharito on the board. Ricky Puig got a goal. Dejan got a goal. And I think what it shows is that the Galaxy as a team has matured. It's matured a lot in spite of having its early struggles and penalty controversies. The team is now geared with one goal in mind, and that's MLS Cup. So you can't help but feel good about the backbone. And then also just the diversity of attack. Chicharito scoring, Ricky Puig continues to score. Brugman hit a missile that came right off the top of the crossbar.
This close.
Very, very close. Almost went all the way back to midfield to hit so hard. And then Dejan looked at his watch and checked, yep, I've only been on for 10 seconds. I guess I gotta go.
That was great.
That was a great celebration.
Is that how you interpreted that? I thought it was him saying, yeah, it's time for playoffs.
Oh, no. Maybe possibly like, oh, it's time for me to start. I don't know. It could have been a lot of things. It could have been a lot of things, dude. But nonetheless, going into the playoffs where strategy and tactics become more of a thing, and where people are going to look down to shut down Chicharito, a diversity attack is going to be immensely important for us. So I was really happy to see it against Houston. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Look, even before this show existed, back during our Reddit days on the Galaxy subreddit, it was like me beating a dead horse over and over. It was just the same thing. This Galaxy team needs an attacking midfielder. This Galaxy team needs an attacking midfielder. Gio's not it. Every other midfielder that the Galaxy's tried to shoehorn in there is not it. We need a dedicated attacking midfielder. You know what? This is exactly what we needed. This is what's unlocked Chicharito's offense. He's 11 goals now in 10 games or something like that. Something crazy like that. Handful of assists. This is what the Galaxy needed. It's done so much for the Galaxy. It's been first half of the season was just up and down, very mediocre. And then here we are on the rise talking about this. Just a phenomenal feeling. Casey, anything to add?
No, I think like you were talking about, the trajectory of this team has just completely changed. The makeup of this team has completely changed with the introduction of Brugman, Cáceres, Puig. This midfield looks extremely different from what it did at the beginning of the season. And like you said, there was the Landon Donovan sized hole in that center attacking mid position, and Puig is filling the shoes with flying colors. He's just been exceptional, and the dynamic of this team is completely changed. And we do look like a solid contender going into the playoffs.
Night and day, just night and day, man. What one player can do. Brugman is part of this too, part of the equation, right? The midfield was like a gaping black hole for seasons and seasons. And here we are. We have a really good pairing. Marky Delgado is in there too, doing good stuff. So here we are. Listen, I'm not going to bore you guys with bad stuff. There really wasn't a whole lot of bad for the LA Galaxy in this game, aside from maybe just some amateur mistakes by some players. We had a crazy amount of shots on goal. I think Julian Matt was mentioning this earlier. Julian, how many opportunities did he have? How many chances?
He had some chances, and he continues to get chances. He's going a little bit more inverted recently. Yeah. I think you hope at one point he's gonna just like anchor down and just nail it into the goal. Hopefully at MLS Cup, but but no, things are working. Yeah,
Yeah.
things are working for sure.
Things are working. Things are working. Obviously, never a perfect product, right? There are things that need to be worked on. Julian's a good player. He just needs to kind of get into playoff mode now, because this is it. There is no more draws, guys. There's no more draws. It's just you win or you win. That's it. Those are the only options. So aside from that, not a whole lot of ugliness that we saw out there. It was a road game against Houston, so take it for what it is. This is always a tough place to play. Houston, no matter how poop they are all season, they always play their best game against the Galaxy, and the Galaxy came up on top on the road. So happy to say that. Happy with the result. Let's get into the ugly. I know Casey had some stuff to get into there as far as the ugly is concerned, going into what we have to go into now with the Galaxy. Casey, what do you have?
Yeah, it's just a bit of an ugly truth that there's still some issues on the defensive side of the ball, right? The cracks really show when the Galaxy are under immense pressure in their third. And we saw some of that today. There wasn't enough urgency in the back that opened up space and led to Ferreira's goal in the 8th minute. Araujo was beat on the duel in the air with Ferreira, and it was actually Dynamo's third only goal in the air this year, which I thought was a pretty interesting stat that they mentioned on the broadcast.
Wow.
There's a little bit of lack of quickness in the defensive transition. There was that 4-on-3 situation you saw in the 29th minute where it very nearly became 2-0.
Yeah.
Our center backs still get beat with long balls over the top that force Bond to come off his line and create really risky situations. And an observation I've made throughout the season is that the back line puts Bond in some one-on-one situations where he barely has enough time to get the ball off his boot. They'll play it back to him under pressure, and he doesn't have any time to get a touch on it, where he'll have to clear it out to the touch line, or gives a really sloppy ball forward that gives up possession to the other team. And it just creates room for errors and turnovers in very dangerous areas. So a couple of defensive cracks that we'll need to fill, especially in these upcoming games in the Western Conference playoffs.
Going into playoffs, man, that's a big thing. And I mean, that's stuff we've talked about pretty much all season long. The Galaxy's defense is still leaky, right? And that goal should have never happened. That's the scary part, because a competent team and a competent team on the offense could have capitalized on those opportunities, on those breakaways. That 4v3 situation could have been something ugly if it had been a competent offense there. But thankfully, Houston is a poopy team, and they pooped really bad. I'm so happy to see them out of the playoffs. I really dislike Houston. Houston is one of my least favorite teams in the league. Put them right up there with San Jose, Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver. Side note, this season, not a single Cascadia team in the playoffs. Doesn't that just feel great?
Oh, now how the mighty have fallen.
Doesn't that just feel great? The Timbers out of playoffs, Seattle out of the playoffs, Vancouver, nobody cares about Vancouver, but they're out of the playoffs. Just feels so great. It's good. Texas, Texas is there, but now that we've covered the good, the bad, and the ugly, you guys know the outcome of the game. It was good. We're going to jump into the LA Galaxy's playoffs, right? So, as you guys know, the LA Galaxy has officially completed the 2022 regular season. That's it. It's over. It was yet another long and grueling season. I feel like I've aged 5 years in one. A lot of ups and downs there this year. It was 34 very intense games, plenty of ups and downs. Felt like a roller coaster at Six Flags. Felt like I was going to throw up at points. But thankfully, towards the end there, the final 10 games or so, the LA Galaxy showed some signs of life. They were on the incline. So I want to ask you guys, before we jump into everything else, Casey, I'll ask you first. How would you rate the LA Galaxy season if you were to give them a grade this season, A to F? What would you grade this team?
I would give it I'd give it a B. There were some pretty low moments where, like you said, we thought that we weren't going to see this team in the playoffs, potentially being at the bottom of the West. And all the pieces really started to come together in the summertime with the additions that we talked about, all the signings that we've made. And we've really turned it around, and to get a 4th seed in the Western Conference, and with how competitive it's been this season, I'd say, it definitely deserves a B. Obviously not flawless, so can't give it the A grade, but yeah, solid B.
Solid B. That's not
Yeah.
bad. That's not bad. Matt, Professor Matt, what would you grade this Galaxy team at the end of this season?
I think Casey's 100% right. I think it's a little bit of a tale of two halves for the season. It's like, like the pre-Poosh era and the post-Poosh era, right? I would say
Historians will remember this, man, when they write this down hundreds of years from now.
BP before Poosh. When prior to Ricky coming in, I would say we were like rated like at like a D. And then ever since he's come in, and we've only been beat once since that guy's come in and played, and we've won plenty of games. We've got our scores back on track. And I think going into playoffs, you want to be a team that's difficult to beat, right? Because in the final moments, in those really clutch moments, like I trust Ricky, Chicha, Dijon, Brugman to come up with a moment of magic to put us right over the top. And as long as we continue to stay difficult to beat, and there's no reason for me to think we're not, we're going to be really competitive in this playoff. So I would say a B's pretty good. Yeah, we were failing all year, but then we crammed and got an A on the final. There you go. B grade. Reminds me of college.
And another note too is, there was a considerable amount of lineup tinkering from Vanny throughout the season, and it seems like we have a well-established starting 11 now that's playing really well together.
Yeah.
I mean, there were center back pairings that were constantly changing, midfield combinations that were constantly changing, formations that were constantly changing, whether it was one up top, two up top. And I think we've definitely found our stride tactically, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to agree with you guys 100%. I'll put it this way. The first 25 games of the season, I would grade the Galaxy as a C minus, a C, maybe a D plus, C minus. Definitely not the kind of grade you would want to say if this was a doctor, you wouldn't want this doctor operating on you, right? If they graduated with a C minus. It was very, very average. But taking into account the final 10 games or so of the season, the how would you say this? The cumulative?
Cumulative.
Cumulative. See, this is my ESL showing, right? The cumulative grade for the LA Galaxy at the end there. Like Matt was saying, they crammed. They got some extra credit. Definitely got some extra credit. They got some tutoring from Puig and Brugman. I would give this team a B, a solid B. I would give them a B. I think they're going into the playoffs in the best possible position. And I don't mean in 4th place, because that's obviously not the best possible position, but I mean they're going into playoffs with momentum, plenty of momentum going forth. Like Matt said, they've only lost one game in the last, I think, 11 games. So it's going to be a hard team to beat. And there's some teams in here that have already lost against the Galaxy going forward. So we're going to talk about that. 4 games, guys. 4 games.
That's it.
Games. Got to win 4 games.
4 games, 4 wins. That's what the Galaxy needs. 4 wins to win an MLS Cup final. Now, first game, guys. Who is that against?
Nashville.
That's against Nashville. Now, Matt, remind the audience what our record against Nashville is this season.
So we played Nashville twice, once here, once away, and we beat them the first time 1-0, and then we tied them the second time 1-1.
Casey, what would you say are the odds of the LA Galaxy beating Nashville at home in this first playoff game, round 1?
I mean, considering our record against them at home, I'd say it's entirely feasible. This is arguably one of the strongest starting 11s in MLS. That back line is pretty intimidating. You've got Walker Zimmerman, Dave Romney, Daniel Lovitz, Shaq Moore, pretty stacked midfield with Dax McCarty, Jacob Schaffelberg, Leal, and then up top you've got Hani Mukhtar and Teo Bunbury. And
Mukhtar
also
just,
to know,
he just won himself a nice award, didn't he?
Yeah, Golden Boot winner. And then Nashville is also 5th lowest in the league for goals conceded.
I was looking at that. I think they averaged 1.2 goals, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
fifth. I think it was fifth or sixth best defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They're a hard team to beat. And I mean, you look at the score lines of the last two games, like Matt was saying. What were those scores? In Nashville, we went.
Nashville was 0-0.
It was one
Oh, sorry.
right?
Oh, sorry, you're right. 1-1, and then 1-0 at home.
1-0 at home. These have been very tight games. For that very same reason, what Casey's bringing up right now, Nashville has a very solid defense. But here's the thing. Here's the X factor, right? These games were played before Puig. They were played BP. So, we're now in the era of AP. So a lot of all of these previous, score lines out the window. I think we have a pretty good. I think it's safe to say we have a pretty damn good shot of getting past this first round against Nashville. Golden Boot or not, I mean, Golden Boot be damned, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Chris. The iteration of the Galaxy that played against Nashville prior is a worse iteration of the Galaxy than the one that we're playing with right now.
Right.
I would actually say that, we're us playing Nashville with Push on our current streak at home. I think we have a good chance of beating them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to be Nashville coming into LA right now.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there aren't, issues that we need to look at. Like I have three, Nashville threats that we have to look out for. Like obviously one is Hani Mukhtar, who has 23 goals, 11 assists, and a pass completion rating of 80%, which is like absurd for someone who plays that high up the field, and the reigning Golden Boot winner. I mean, threat number 2 is going to be Leal, 2 goals, 7 assists. And for Nashville, a team that's very stout on defense, he has the second most tackles of any active starter on Nashville. I mean, this is a guy who will dig in and get up in your face and take the ball right from you one way or another. And then the third threat, which has been a reoccurring weakness of the Galaxy and something that Casey had alluded to in, the ugly of the Houston game, is going to be aerial threats. Sapong, Zimmerman, and Romney are 3 out of the top 5 scorers on Nashville's team. And those are almost completely because of set pieces and crosses. And look, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and Zimmerman's goals, I mean, aren't necessarily scored in the air. He's scored some bangers from outside the 18. Wow. I mean, he is very versatile in finding the back of the net, and he remains a huge threat.
That's a very interesting thing you're bringing up there, the aerial threat with these 3 players.
Yeah, and it plays into what our weakness has been this year, which is set piece defending, and then our outside backs getting too high up the field, and then when they inevitably go out to their wingers, the biggest part of the issue is not that. I mean, obviously, like not man marking in the box is an issue, but it's that the wingers are taking easy practice crosses out there where they can just ping the pass wherever they want to because they're not rushed and they have time to make a good kick. So those are the 3 threats we have to go out and defend, but we've done that already. These are the exact same threats that we've podcasted on that Nashville could hurt us on, and we haven't been beaten by them. Yeah. And now we're a much better team. So no, I actually feel very confident going against Nashville in this next game.
Momentum, playoff game at home, Puig, Brugman, Chicha firing on all cylinders. Let's say we have a very good chance here. We beat Nashville next Saturday. That's October 15th at 12. Who do we play? This is the big one. Casey, who would we play in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs?
I just need you to let me share my screen here, and then I'll pull it up. Yeah. And but if we look at the bracket, which I'll bring up here shortly.
Let's see.
We will face a very familiar foe.
You should be able to share that now. There we go.
In Los Angeles Football Club.
Yikes. That is right. It's looking like a conference semifinal El Tráfico, and that would be at Bank of California Stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Here it is, folks. This is the game you guys were all waiting for. The biggest game of the season, possibly in all of MLS, right? Because this is the biggest rivalry in MLS right now. LAFC versus the Galaxy. What are the Galaxy's chances going into this game? What are the strengths, guys? What are the weaknesses here? What's the outlook for the Galaxy?
I mean, again, it's a game where the past two fixtures we have been without Ricky Puig, without Brugman, some of the new pieces introduced into the fold. So it'll be interesting to see how those pieces stack up against a team like LAFC. Obviously, like we discussed in our breakdown of the Houston game, we'll have to tighten the ship up to, defensively against a team like LAFC that'll beat you really quickly on the counter. They're really good at exploiting the space, really fast, very technical. So, I think it'll be a hard fought game. And it's hard to say who comes out the victor in that situation.
What's the record for the Galaxy versus LAFC this season? We've played 3 games, right? There's been 2 league games, one at home and one on the road, and then there was a US Open Cup, if I'm not mistaken. What was the total result of that?
We are 1-1 this season. We crashed out before we met them in the Open Cup, and
we eliminated them from the Open Cup, right?
Yeah,
we're
2-1.
Right?
Did we? Oh wow!
Yes,
I'm misremembering that. We did knock them out of the Open Cup, so we're actually 2-1 with them this season.
It feels
we beat
like
them at
that was
home
last
both
year.
times.
I'm telling you, dude, long season. For a second there, I'm like, yeah, I think that was last season. No, that was this year.
These years just run together. It's kind of scary.
Everything after that pandemic's just a big blur, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so Matt, I think the first game was a win for the Galaxy at home, right? That was a 2-1 win, if I'm remembering that correct. Then there was the US Open Cup, which was a 3-1 win for the Galaxy. And then there was a 3-2 loss for the Galaxy at the Bank. But here's the thing. 3-2, that was a very narrow victory for LAFC against the Galaxy at home. Again, we go back to the same thing. This was BP. This was before Puig. I think going into this, if we face LAFC, which is just down the street, we were talking about this with Matt earlier, it's technically a home game for the Galaxy. They just have to take a bus ride down, right? Downtown, Exposition Park. The Galaxy has a very good chance of winning this game. It's LAFC. We're deep in their heads. These are guys that are notorious for choking against the Galaxy. And how delicious would it be for the Galaxy to say they've knocked LAFC out of 2 cups in 1 year?
Yeah, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I know that the third seed was on the map for a little bit there, but I honestly feel like this is the best way this playoff map could have lined up for us. We're at home against Nashville, a team we've been before, and then we're just gonna fly down the freeway and then play the second team, who is a team we've been relentlessly time and time again, not only historically but also this year.
Yeah.
We're looking at maybe not even having to leave LA until the conference finals, which is kind of like nuts, in all honesty, because had we been the third seed, that would not be the case at all. It could be a whole different animal. But this is actually a really good setup for us, both in opponent and then also in travel. And then even if we get to the conference finals, and let's say like worst case scenario, Austin makes it there as well, since they're the number 2 seed and the second strongest team in the West. We beat Austin, and Austin is not a far flight. I mean, this is really lining up very, very well for the Galaxy. I'm honestly very excited about it. I think we're going to beat Nashville. I know we can beat LAFC. And then we get to the conference finals, as long as it's not Dallas. I mean, I think we got a good shot, a good run here. Yeah, we're streamlining.
Yeah. I mean, RSL came into the playoffs limping. They're struggling hard. And we beat RSL. Was it last weekend? The weekend before that?
Yeah.
We beat RSL. Minnesota, I'm not too concerned about. Really, it's a team that I don't think they're going to amount to much in the playoffs. Like Matt said, Dallas is a little bit of the concern there, just because they've been a thorn in our side. I think they beat us. Was it once or twice this season? They're a tough team to play against, But I think, and that's a good point that Matt brought up, it's a possibility that we play all of our games at home. And what are the possibilities of the Galaxy making the MLS Cup final and hosting the game at home, right? I mean, if they play against a Cincinnati or a Red Bulls, a Miami, and Orlando, I don't know, guys. Are we getting too ahead of ourselves?
No way. I'm ready to get the plaque made.
I've already got it tattooed on my right butt cheek. All right. The banner's there.
You know what's super cringy, man? I was just browsing social media and LAFC made this huge hoot about winning that supporter shield. They actually had a banner that said 2022 supporter shields champions. Champions. I was like, champions? Really? Like the supporter shield? You guys don't own it. The supporters own it.
There's no such thing as a supporter shield champion. You can win a supporter shield, but you cannot be champion of it. That doesn't make sense.
You cannot be champion of it. You don't own it, right?
That kind of mentality is what happens when your mom gives you too much encouragement and doesn't tell you the truth.
That's just nomenclature derived from their Euro snobbery that dictates that if they win the regular season, they are the true champions. But we all know in this league, MLS Cup champion's the true champion.
MLS Cup champion. That's it. That's all that matters in this league. So if you guys know an LAFC fan, if you're married to an LAFC fan, I don't know why. Those are grounds for divorce. But just, be nice to them, pet them on the head, say, you're a good boy. You're a special little boy. You're special. And then just, encourage them. You're a good little champion. And then just go about your day. But I'm excited, guys. It looks like the path for MLS Cup, at the very least, a conference final for the Galaxy, and possibly a conference final. I'm confident in that. I think that's, if you had asked me this question 12 weeks ago, I would have said, you're talking about a conference final for the Galaxy. You're insane. You're insane. Right. This is like Animal Black level type of insanity, right? And if you guys are on Discord, you guys will know who I'm talking about. That guy, all credit to him. He was super optimistic all season long, even when the Galaxy was like in 8th or 9th place. He's like, no, we're still making playoffs. You guys will see. So credit to that guy. Honestly, I thought you were insane, dude. But here we are, Galaxy in a very good position. Anything else to add, guys?
No. Get your babysitters out there, because you got to be at that game. This is what we work for.
Get your babysitters out there. Now, before we close out the show, guys, it's been a very long season for the Galaxy, but for us as well here on the show. I know it probably doesn't seem like it's a lot of work, but it really is. It's a lot of work. But the encouragement that you guys give us, the fans that tune into the show, your kind words via DMs, comments, whatever it is, they're very appreciated, and it's what drives us to continue to do this. And I know I speak for my co-hosts, Matt, Casey, to say that we are very privileged to do this for you guys, because honestly, I would do this even if no one was watching or listening, because I just get to talk soccer with two awesome guys that totally understand the game at completely different level than I do. I love it. I love talking soccer with these guys. I would still do it, but it's encouraging that there are other people out there watching, engaging with us, dialoguing with us about the Galaxy, and we're just happy to be bringing you guys some content still. Long season, but we're still here. We still have some games under our in our schedule, on our agenda, right, guys? Hopefully we have 4 more games to podcast for, and then an MLS Cup championship game. And we're gonna do something special for that. But I don't know, guys. How have you guys felt this season?
Just feeling grateful for all the support, like you said, Chris. And I mean, we've met some really cool people who listen to the show and have come up to us at games and introduced themselves and just made some really good friends along the way. Yeah. And it's been great being Galaxy fans with everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're just 4 games away, guys. We're really just like 4 games away. That's so attainable. It's so close.
4 games, man. I will get. I don't have 0 tattoos on my body. I will get Ricky tattooed on my body somewhere. Viva la vida loca. I'll get Ricky tattooed somewhere on me, man. But yeah. With that said, guys, we do appreciate it. Phenomenal week for the Galaxy. Get your tickets now. It's going to be a sellout. Those ticket prices are probably going to go up every single day that you delay. So get it done now. We look forward to seeing you guys there. And for myself, Chris Maldonado, the other Galaxy guys that are on, Matt, Casey. Appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys next week. Nos vemos.